It's the Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indie Sports Ticket, 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indie Sports Ticket app.
Welcome to the Real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indies Sports Ticket. Thank you for tuning in, no matter how you're tuning in, whether that's YouTube, Indies Sports Ticket. Head over there and subscribe. We got a good thing going over there. Maybe you're listening via the Indie Sports Ticket app, which you can download wherever you find your apps. And, of course, you can also watch on Twitter, X, the Everything app, __ Jonathan Smith, if you want to watch the show there. The Indiana Pacers did it again. Another. Can we call it a crazy comeback? Because I feel like this was the least crazy of the four that we've seen from this Pacers team in the playoffs. I mean, they were only down 15 with 9 minutes left. That's a cakewalk for these dudes. And every time this happens, I just keep going back to a quote from Pacers head coach Rick Carlisle from earlier in the postseason, where he says, Pacers basketball is 48 minutes. That is my favorite quote from any player on this Pacers team, from any coach on this Pacers team, because it perfectly encapsulates everything about this team. It is the perfect statement to describe who this team is, how they play, how resilient they are, and how tough they are. It is 48 minutes, and they fully believe, everyone on this Pacers roster, they fully believe that they can win until the clock hits zero. It is incredible. They never quit. They're never out of it. And we saw it once again last night. Here's Pacers head coach Rick Carlisle talking about yet another improbable comeback from this Pacers team in the NBA playoffs.
Just had to hang in. The first half was rough. 19 turnovers. The good thing was it was only 9 points. And so, we were within reach of still being in the game. I think we won the third quarter by 3, which was progress. And then, they went up 15. And we just said, hey, let's just keep chipping away at the rock, and keep pounding the rock, and just chip away and hang in. And we've had a lot of experience in these kinds of games. And our guys have a real good feel for what it's all about, giving ourselves a chance, and we got fortunate, but made plays.
They did get fortunate. Coach Carlisle right there talking about the incredible Pacers comeback last night. Hopefully at this point, you've just learned to never turn your TV off when watching this Pacers team play, because they did it again. They just chip away and they chip away and they keep working. And who cares that they turn the basketball over 25 times? Who cares that this is the first time in the last 2 years where the Oklahoma City Thunder forced 22 turnovers or more and lost? 8 of those games resulted in either a 20 or 30-point victory. Not against this Pacers team, though. They keep working, they keep going, and they've done it in every series now. They have won a game they had no business winning in every series. Game 5 against the Bucks, they closed the game on that crazy run to steal it, capped off by the Tyrese Haliburton game-winning layup after blowing by Giannis Antetokounmpo. Game 2 against the Cleveland Cavaliers was capped off by another crazy Pacers run to end the game, and it was capped off by Tyrese Haliburton missing a free throw, getting the offensive rebound, and then hitting a tough step-back 3 over Ty Jerome. Game 1 against the Knicks, you had the 20-point fourth quarter from Aaron Nesmith where he makes 6 threes, and Tyrese Haliburton hits a crazy shot where it, shoots up into the rafters and then falls perfectly down through the hoop. They send it to overtime. Andrew Nembhard, 7 points in overtime to close the Knicks out in game 1. And then last night, I'm sitting on my couch telling myself, not again. It can't happen again. The Oklahoma City Thunder defense is too good. The best defense we've seen since the 2004 Detroit Pistons. There's no way that they're going to outscore them 32-16 in the final 9 minutes of this game. They have the MVP and the scoring champ and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who was, he had 38 last night, by the way. 38 points on 14 of 30 shooting. Jeez Louise. That dude's good at basketball. It's like, surely that guy's going to finish the game off by getting to the rim, which it felt like he did at will in that first half, or by getting to the elbow. And when Shai Gilgeous-Alexander takes a shot from the elbow. I just kind of assume that it's going to go in. Surely he's going to find a way to get a bucket. And if not, he's going to get fouled. But that didn't happen because Andrew Nembhard was awesome on both ends of the floor all night. He found a way to get another stop on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Then Aaron Nesmith skies in like a madman and just tears his 12th rebound of the night down from the sky. And then they find Tyrese Haliburton. And is there another dude in the NBA right now who you would rather have the ball late in these games when you need someone to hit a big shot? When this is all over, whether the Pacers win the NBA Finals or the Thunder bounce back and they find a way to overcome this tough and resilient Indiana Pacers team, Tyrese Haliburton should get in his car. He should drive to New York City. He should see his buddy Jalen Brunson, say, hey, what's up? And he should take the Clutch Player of the Year trophy away from him because this dude just continues to hit crazy shot after crazy shot. And he hit another big one last night with 0.3 seconds left on the clock. He is incredible in those big spots. His pulse never increases. Never. Right? He is so calm in the like that is game one of the NBA Finals. And it's not surprising at all that he's making these tough shots late in games. He sat down with Scott Van Pelt right after the game, and he was asked about his ability to make these tough shots late and the Pacers' ability to complete these comebacks. Here's Tyrese Haliburton talking to Scott Van Pelt about his ability to hit the biggest shots in the biggest moments.
Yeah, I just think if I get to my spot and just rise up, I got a lot of trust, and I work my tail off, and I didn't have a great game, but I thought I did a good job of just staying with it. And the guys trust me to take shots and make shots at the end of games, and that confidence I get from my group just instills confidence in me myself. So, it's a lot of fun. Like I said, I work really hard. I feel like throughout this playoff run, all these shots I've made are shots that I work on every day, playing one-on-one with our player interns, figuring out different ways to make shots, make plays. And I think us as a group, we just really stay at it. So, I never lose belief in our group. I never lose belief. If I lose belief in taking a shot at the end of the game, we're probably screwed. So, I just got to stick with it and stay confident and, keep making plays.
Tyrese Haliburton right there talking about, the pull-up game winner over Cason Wallace to give them the big W. And then, they're at the end talking about how he works on this. He works on this stuff all the time. And you can see it. You can. All this goes back to the summer when this team, the whole team, is in Orlando at Pascal Siakam's house, at his home gym, putting in work. There's this amazing video of Siakam cussing up a storm, yelling at his teammates, reminding them that they didn't do anything last year. All that they did was get swept by the Boston Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals. And when you do all the work that this Indiana Pacers team has done, it's not surprising that they just never give up. They know what they can do. There's faith and there's confidence in their abilities because of how much work they've put in, not only on their own, but as a group. And that was the tamest of the 4 comebacks we've seen from the Pacers in these playoffs. It's not surprising that they keep doing this because they've been preparing for these moments since the summer. It's why they can stay in it. When Myles Turner missed the wide open 3 that would have cut the lead to 1 with about 4 minutes and 20 seconds left. And the Thunder respond with their own little mini run. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander comes down. He hits a tough layup. The Thunder go up 6. Pacers come back down. Tyrese Haliburton takes a tough step back 3 over Chet Holmgren. He misses. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander runs it back down the floor, goes to the rim, gets fouled, makes 2 free throws, and he puts the Thunder up by 8. That should have been it. That should have been the game. There's 3.5 minutes left. I was ready to call this the Mike Woodson game because the Pacers just couldn't quite get over the hump. That was going to be the story of the game because the Pacers were constantly down by 11 and they get it down to 6. And then the Thunder would push it back up to 11. And then the Pacers would cut it down to 4. And then the Thunder would push it back up to 8. And they could just never hit the big shot. They couldn't quite figure out a way to do it. Every time the Thunder needed to score, they found a way to do it. And every time the Pacers needed to score, to cut the lead to 1 or to take the lead, they couldn't until there was 0.3 seconds left on the clock. However, this Indiana Pacers team is unlike any of the Mike Woodson teams at IU. When you're tough, you can overcome 25 turnovers. 25 turnovers. That is the first time the Thunder have lost in the last 2 years when they have forced 22 turnovers or more. When you're tough and you're resilient and you just stay in it, you can overcome taking 16 less shots than your opponent. That's incredible. When usually the team that takes 98 shots beats the team that only takes 82 shots. Incredible toughness, incredible resiliency from this Pacers team once again. And we have seen it time and time again in these playoffs. And this is just the latest example of it. Down 15 with 9 minutes and 42 seconds left. Why are we even calling this a crazy comeback? Seriously. Like, this is just a Tuesday for this Indiana Pacers team. And this is what you get from them. This is what you get from them. They are the toughest team in the NBA. They're tough. They're very skilled. And it's everyone. That is still my favorite thing about this Pacers team. It is everybody. It took everyone to get it done. I mean, it's incredible. The Pacers are the first team ever to win an NBA Finals game where a player didn't score 20 points or more. Pascal Siakam was the leading scorer. He had 19 points. First time in NBA history an NBA Finals team won without a player scoring 20 points or more. It took everyone to get it done. Obi Toppin had 17 points off the bench, which is shocking given how awful he was to start. He was so bad they pulled him for Thomas Bryant in the first half. And then they put Obi Toppin back in like 90 seconds later because Thomas Bryant looked like he was very much out of his depth. To be fair to Thomas Bryant, he came back in later, like dunked on Hartenstein and he hit a corner three. So like he was fine later, but Thomas Bryant wasn't very good. They put Obi Toppin back in after he turned the ball over 3 times in his first 3.5 minutes on the floor. It didn't faze him though. He just kept going. He just kept playing. He didn't allow for that rough start to get to him. Toughness and resiliency on display. He was awesome. 17 points off the bench. He was 6 of 9 from the floor and 5 of 8 from 3. He hit a couple really tough shots because that's what this Pacers team does. Like, if you're going to beat the Thunder, the best defensive team we've seen since the 2004 Detroit Pistons, if you're going to do it, you have to have guys that can make tough shots, and the Pacers are filled with nothing but players who make incredibly tough shots. Myles Turner hit a step-back 3 off the backboard in the fourth quarter. Aaron Nesmith hit a contested corner 3 late to keep the Pacers in it. Obi Toppin hit 2 threes in the first half with the shot clock winding down to keep the Pacers in it. Usually, the Thunder, what they do is they're up by 8, and then they blink and they go on like this, 12-0 run, and they're up by 18, and you can never get back into it. And they were never able to do that because of this Pacers team and their incredible ability to do nothing but hit incredibly tough shots. Obi Toppin with the 2 threes in the first half. Aaron Nesmith's tough contested corner 3. Myles Turner hitting the step back 3 off the backboard over Chet Holmgren. Tyrese Haliburton's pull-up jumper for the win. That is an insane shot to hit a 22-foot pull-up jumper. Like, what in the world? That is not a normal thing that people do. Like, that is an incredible shot for him to make. Okay, Andrew Nembhard, arguably the second biggest shot of the game, hits a just incredible heat check step back 3 over Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in the fourth quarter that cut the lead to 3 with 2 minutes left. That was the shot that made me believe again. It probably made you believe again as well. Like, they're down by 6. It's like, this game's probably over. Oh no, Andrew Nembhard's about to chuck a 24-foot. Oh my gosh. nothing but net. It was reminiscent of the game winner he hit over Jalen Brunson against the Knicks last year in the NBA playoffs. Okay, he hits that shot. I'm believing again. I'm rolling, and he was great last night. There were so many guys who contributed to the Pacers in this win. Pascal Siakam goes for 19 points and 10 rebounds. Aaron Nesmith, 10 points, 12 rebounds, played outstanding defense on Jalen Williams. Myles Turner, bad first half. Very good, though, in the second half. Andrew Nembhard was awesome. I thought he was their most impactful role player. Obi Toppin, 17 off the bench. TJ McConnell, he had 9 points. He kind of kept them afloat a little bit there in that first quarter. But I said yesterday, before this series started, that if the Pacers were going to find a way to win the series, that Andrew Nembhard was going to have to be great because he was going to be entrusted to do a lot more offensively than what he had been throughout these playoffs. And he initiated a lot of the offense. He was very comfortable doing that. And I thought he was the Pacers' best and most important role player last night. Coach Carlisle, after the game, was asked about Andrew Nembhard and just his outstanding play. And here's what the Pacers head coach had to say.
He made big plays at both ends. The one stop on Shea at the end was a big play, and then we got the rebound. There was the step back three, which was a big momentum play. I think it went from 6 to 3. And then there was an and one where we got to the rim. I don't know what point it was in the fourth, but, a lot of big plays. And you got to have playmakers against Oklahoma City. I mean, they just they make it so difficult defensively.
Coach Carlisle right there talking about Andrew Nembhard and how awesome he was in that game. Just making tough shots, facilitating, finding open. He didn't really turn the ball over. I think he only turned the ball over twice. Twice. He had 6 assists, and that's what I said before the series started. If Andrew Nembhard can average somewhere around, 16 points and 6 assists a night, then he's going to give the Pacers a chance. He had 14 points and 6 assists last night, and they had him initiate a lot more of the offense to help take some of the pressure off Tyrese Haliburton. Everyone looked overwhelmed at some point in the game except for Andrew Nembhard. Andrew Nembhard looked incredibly comfortable all night. He went at everyone. He's like driving into the chest of Lou Dort, a guy significantly larger than him, who was a first-team all defensive selection. Just like straight into his chest and then hitting a little floater over him. He did that, and I was like, all right, yeah, Andrew Nembhard's going to be fine in this series. And he tried to do it later. It didn't work. He spun off, and I think he ended up finding Obi Toppin for a 3. But he was incredible. And we talk about Tyrese Haliburton and his ability to make decisions all the time. Andrew Nembhard is an excellent decision maker as well. He finished the night, once again, 14 points on 4 of 11 shooting, 6 assists, the big 3 with 2 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter. And if he continues to play like that on the offensive end, he's going to give the Pacers a chance. And if he continues to play defense like that on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Pacers definitely have a chance. And if you just look at the box score, you say, Jonathan, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had 38 points on 14 of 30 shooting. And I understand that. But Andrew Nembhard was awesome on the defensive end of the floor. He was spectacular. He made life so tough on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander all night. Nothing came easy when he was defended by Andrew Nembhard. Now, when Shai Gilgeous-Alexander got switches and Haliburton had to defend him, or Nesmith even, or he split a couple of screens where he got to the rim pretty easily. When Myles Turner overextended, like when he didn't have Andrew Nembhard defending him, his life was so much easier. But when Andrew Nembhard was on SGA, tough sledding for that dude. But he's a great player, so he made some tough shots, right? But I thought Nembhard's effort on defense late in that fourth quarter, when the Thunder kept trying to pick on Tyrese Haliburton, the Thunder do more guard-on-guard screening than any other team in the NBA. And we saw it last night. And the Thunder would bring up Cason Wallace, defended by Tyrese Haliburton, in hopes of getting Shai Gilgeous-Alexander matched up on Tyrese Haliburton. And Andrew Nembhard just fighting over every single screen, staying attached to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, not allowing them to pick on Tyrese Haliburton. It was an incredible display of effort and intensity from Andrew Nembhard on the defensive end of the floor. The other thing that was huge for the Pacers, Andrew Nembhard and the rest of the Pacers defense did a great job of keeping Shai Gilgeous-Alexander off the foul line. He only took 8 free throws. That is a great number. If Shai Gilgeous-Alexander takes about eight free throws a game, the Pacers will live with that and then some. Okay, like that is a good number. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is the kind of guy who will take 15 free throws a game. Like, do you remember when Donovan Mitchell was taking like 20 free throws a game in that series against Cleveland? Yeah, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, he'll do the exact same thing. And the fact that the Pacers were able to keep him off the foul line, it is a testament to the defense that Andrew Nembhard played. It's a testament to Myles Turner and his ability to come over in the help. Great, he was great help side, protecting the rim in that fourth quarter. And that is so big for the Pacers, the fact that Andrew Nembhard can at least hold his own and make life kind of tough on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Because that's the case, it allows for Aaron Nesmith to defend Jalen Williams. And Jalen Williams was bad. Every game the Thunder have lost in these playoffs have come when Jalen Williams has struggled. Last night, he had 17 points on 6 of 19 shooting. Aaron Nesmith didn't shoot the ball great. He's only 3-9 from the field. He was 3 of 7 from 3. He had a big, tough corner 3 late in the game to keep it close in the fourth. But he was huge rebounding the basketball. He had 12 rebounds. That led the Pacers. He had the biggest rebound of the game after the Andrew Nembhard stop on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. But his biggest impact was making Jalen Williams' life miserable. Jalen Williams was so uncomfortable in that game. Aaron Nesmith just like getting up underneath him, making every dribble just a tough process. And that has to continue if they want to win the series. And they have a real chance to do it. If they're going to defend like that, they're going to have an excellent chance to win the series. Now, that's all the pretty stuff. Tyrese Haliburton game winner, Andrew Nembhard hitting the tough 3 late, the outstanding defense on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the incredible shot making down the stretch. That's all the pretty stuff. We do have to talk about the first 39 minutes of that game, though, which were not pretty. It was incredibly ugly. All right, but this Pacers team, they're tough. They're resilient. They were able to overcome it once. I don't think they'll be able to do that again. So the first 39 minutes of the game have to look significantly better than what they did last night. But there's one thing about this Pacers team. There's one thing about them that allowed them to win the game despite that horrendous 39-minute stretch. And it's the reason why they're in the NBA Finals. It is. I'm going to tell you what it is when we come back here in about 4 minutes.
may, one day, be a must-listen for sports enthusiasts.
Yeah, and monkeys might fly out of my butt.
Uh-oh. The Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Welcome back to the Real Jonathan Smith Show. Happy Friday. Happy Pacers comeback day. Say, well, Jonathan, what do you mean? Yeah, it's just every day after game one of any series, it's automatically National Pacers comeback day. It's all anyone can really talk about because this team is so incredibly resilient. And I spent like 25 minutes to open the show talking about the final 9 minutes of that game, the 32-16 run. Now we have to talk about what can only be described as the ugliest 39 minutes we have seen the Pacers play all year. The first half of that game, there aren't words in the English language to describe how terrible that was. They turned the basketball over 19 times in the first half. They averaged 11 turnovers per game in the playoffs before this one. It was ugly. It was terrible. And Scott Van Pelt of ESPN does a really good job. I don't appreciate him giving Tyrese Haliburton an out, though. Because after the game, at the Sports Center desk, Tyrese Haliburton was asked how it felt playing on the finals. And he was essentially asked, were you nervous? Were you jittery? And here's what Tyrese Haliburton had to say.
I mean, I got to go back and watch the film, but I felt like I was jittery.
You don't have to watch the film to tell me how it felt. How did you feel inside?
I felt jittery in the first half.
It looked
honestly.
that way.
Yeah, I felt jittery. I was playing too fast. I was out of control. I mean, we had, like 20 turnovers in, like, the first half.
That's the most you've had in 25 years.
Yeah, and just very uncharacteristic of us. You know,
how much of that's them?
A lot.
Yeah.
A lot. They're a historic defense. They're a great defense, but I just think we caught ourselves driving with no plan. You know, against this team, if you drive with no plan, it can get ugly. It can get ugly quick.
You can get lost.
Yeah, exactly. So we just got to do a better job of driving with a plan, and playing with some more controlled chaos. We love chaos, but they love chaos too, but we need it to be more controlled. And we'll watch the film, see if we can get better. I thought we were a lot better in the second half. I think in the third quarter, we have 3 turnovers for like 3 fast break points, 3 points off turnovers, something like that. And that's winning basketball. So, there's a lot for us to improve on with this game. We'll go back and watch the film and see where we can get better.
Tyrese Haliburton right there talking about that horrendous first half. Didn't matter because the Pacers found a way to battle back and win the game. And we can chalk the turnovers up to jitters, I guess. I'm going to chalk it up to what he said there at the end because I think it's so true. He talked about how they kept driving without a plan, and that was so spot on. Usually the mic'd up moments are really dumb, but I thoroughly enjoyed the one from Rick Carlisle where he talked about how you can't make bounce passes into the middle of this team, of this Thunder defense. And if you get into the lane, like, you have to be ready for the help to come and to be swatting at the basketball. And it just didn't seem like the Pacers were ready for that. Like, the number of times Obi Toppin, especially, all 3 of Obi Toppin's turnovers, he would drive baseline, jump in the air, and look to make a pass that's normally there, but it's not there against this Oklahoma City Thunder defense because they are so incredibly quick and fast, and they close gaps so quickly. And so it resulted in him turning the basketball over. The number of times Aaron Nesmith got into the lane and then got tied up or had the ball swatted away was incredible. Like, he had 5 turnovers. The Pacers as a whole got stripped on their way to the bucket repeatedly in that first half. And that is what defined the first 24 minutes. Of the Pacers' 19 turnovers, 12 of them were live ball turnovers. Like, that can't happen. Like, the Pacers can survive a shot clock violation, a backcourt violation, a travel. They can survive that. Because if you do that, you walk down to the other end of the floor and you get to set your defense. But the Thunder crushed teams in transition. They only had 11 fast break points the whole game. The Thunder only scored 11 points off of the 25 turnovers that they forced the entire game. They only scored 9 points off of the 19 turnovers that they forced in the first half. And it speaks to the defense that this Indiana Pacers team played. That is why they were able to stay in the game. They held the Thunder to 39% shooting from the field for the whole game. In that first half, they held the Thunder to only 37% shooting in that first half. That is why the Pacers had a chance. The defense was outstanding. Sure, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had it going. 38 points, 14 of 30 from the field. Lou Dort was 5 of 9 from 3. No one else for the Thunder consistently made shots. Also, by the way, Lou Dort didn't make a 3 in that fourth quarter. No one else for the Thunder consistently made shots. In the second half, the Pacers settled in. The defense remained intense. The shots that the Thunder were getting continued to be tougher shots than what the Pacers were getting. Like, the Pacers got so many more open threes than the Thunder did. The Thunder took so many tough contested twos, and that's part of who they are, right? Like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander loves that, like, pull-up contested two-point jumper, and, like, he makes it a lot of the time. And I think if you're the Pacers, like, I think that they're fine with that. They just don't want him getting to the rim. And so in the second half, the Pacers settle in while continuing to play that outstanding defense. The jitters go away, and two other things happened. One, they stopped turning the basketball over. They only turned the ball over 6 times in the second half, right? You know, and just to emphasize how important the turnovers are, in the first half, when the Pacers turned the ball over 19 times, they were outscored by 12. In the second half, when the Pacers only turned the ball over 6 times, they won the half by 13. Once they cleaned that up, they looked pretty good. Okay? That half, though, that first half, speaks to how far this Indiana Pacers team has come. They don't have a chance to win that game last year because last year it was all about the offense. Their defense has improved by leaps and bounds compared to last year, and that is why they won that game. Their defense allowed them to win despite shooting 16 less shots than their opponent. They made everything tough on the Oklahoma City Thunder's offense. And the Thunder are not a great offensive team. Like, they hang their hat on defense, turning teams over, and scoring in transition. And if you can cut that off, like the Pacers did in the second half, you're going to have a chance to beat this team. Tyrese Haliburton is going to get a lot of love today because he hit yet another game winner, and it's great. It's cool. It's awesome. Congratulations, Tyrese Haliburton. That first half was awful, though. He only took 4 shots. 3 of them were threes. He made 2 of them, so, like, that was cool. But that's not what the Pacers need from him. They need him to touch the paint. He only touched the paint once in the first half. It's not good enough. That's why he only had 6 points. That's why he only had 3 assists to go along with his 6 points going into halftime. I have talked about this all year. The Pacers have talked about it. Tyrese Haliburton has talked about it. He's been asked about it repeatedly. By the way, Zack Gray joining the show in 25 minutes to talk about this game. Tony East joining the show here in about an hour to talk about this game. He asked to get into the lane, and he couldn't do it in the first half. He turned the corner on screens, and there was always someone there waiting for him. Cason Wallace or Lou Dort or Alex Caruso, whoever was defending him, did a really nice job of staying attached to him and not letting him turn the corner sometimes. And that led to him settling for threes. Now, one thing I thought he did do well, I thought he did a really good job of working back to the basketball whenever he started the possession off the ball. That's the only thing that I felt like he did well. There were too many possessions, though, where he and the rest of this Pacers offense would just stand around the perimeter and pass the ball back and forth. The ball never got below the foul line. That got better in the second half, but that first half was brutal from Tyrese Haliburton. And he got better in the second half, right? It looked like a much more normal Tyrese Haliburton second half. It did, right? You know, he shot the ball from all over the floor. He took 9 shots instead of 4. 4 of those shots were threes, 2 were at the rim, 2 floaters, and then he had the 1 pull-up mid-range jumper that won the game. He did a much better job of getting to the rim. You know, in the first half, he only had the 1 paint touch. In the second half, he had 5 paint touches, which still isn't great, but that's, much better than 1. And it's why the Pacers offense was better, because it wasn't just him who was getting to the rim. More guys were. I thought that they did a better job of spacing the floor out. That way it was tougher for the Thunder to come down and help. By the way, Tyrese Haliburton, the 5 shots that he took from 2, he was 4 or 5. Okay, like if he can keep getting just below the 3-point line, like his threat level just gets higher and higher the closer he gets to the rim. Okay, so if he keeps playing how he did in the second half, then the Pacers are going to have a great chance to win this series. The resiliency from him to bounce back in the second half was huge. It's not surprising because this is a team that never panics, in part because Tyrese Haliburton never panics. What a game from him. What a shot. What a run he's on right now with all the big shots he's hitting at the end of these playoff games to cap off these comebacks. Last night was awesome. 3 more wins for the Indiana Pacers, and they'll be your NBA champions for the year 2025. So we're counting them down. Game 2 coming up on Sunday. I might have time to get to that. I don't think that I will. That's okay. When we come back, though, Pascal Siakam, probably made the second or third biggest play of the night. He's the unsung hero. Everyone's talking about Toppin and Nembhard and Haliburton. Siakam, though, he is the unsung hero. I'll tell you why when we come back here in about 2.5 minutes.
The best takes. Maybe. The Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Coming up in 20 minutes, Zack Gray is going to join the show. We're going to continue talking Pacers and Thunder for the NBA Finals. The Real Jonathan Smith Show. Thanks for tuning in. As we continue to talk about another just normal night for the Indiana Pacers, just defying the odds once again. And it doesn't happen without Pascal Siakam. Pascal Siakam is the unsung hero of last night. You're going to hear people talk about Obi Toppin and his ability to bounce back from the 3 turnovers. You're going to hear people talk about Haliburton and the game-winning shot. You're going to hear people talk about Andrew Nembhard and how instrumental he was in the comeback. But Pascal Siakam is the unsung hero of last night. He had 19 points. He led them in scoring. He was 7 of 15 from the floor, so he was decently efficient. He also had 10 rebounds. And I've seen people discuss the big step-back 3 over Shai Gilgeous-Alexander hit by Andrew Nembhard. I talked about the Myles Turner sidestep fadeaway 3 that he banked in. Obviously, people are talking about the Tyrese Haliburton shot. They don't win that game without Pascal Siakam. Because when the Pacers are down 3, they take a tough, bad shot. It gets deflected. I think it was, I don't remember who took the shot. But Pascal Siakam is underneath the basket. And what does he do? He reaches up, grabs his 10th rebound, his 4th offensive rebound of the night. And he pulls it in and he goes, oh, the Thunder are playing small. No Chet Holmgren on the floor. Let me just lay this in. Oh, Pacers are down by 1. And then we know what happens from there. More importantly, though, he's going to be their easy offense guy in this series. When you look up and down these two rosters between the Thunder and the Pacers, Tyrese Haliburton, he's going to struggle to get loose at times because of all these amazing Thunder perimeter defenders, Jalen Williams, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Alex Caruso, Cason Wallace, Lou Dort, whoever it is. Myles Turner, when he got the ball in the paint last night, it did not go well. Did not. He had six turnovers. Okay, the number of times he'd get into the lane and he'd bring the ball down and the ball would be gone was alarming, especially in that first half. Andrew Nembhard, I know he had some big shots. He's kind of streaky. Pascal Siakam is going to be the main guy who can just go get a shot. And you have to have that. Okay, because sometimes tough shots don't go in. Okay, like they can get him switched, and we saw them do this early. They can get him switched on anyone from the Thunder, and he can find a way to score. Okay, when it was Hartenstein or Chet Holmgren on him, he could go by them. He posted up Cason Wallace multiple times early in that first quarter, and he scored with relative ease. The Thunder tried to put Alex Caruso on him, and it didn't really work. He had 19 points and 10 rebounds on the night. He's the only player for the Pacers who I think is going to be a consistent mismatch in this series for the Oklahoma City Thunder, which is saying a lot because the Thunder have answers for what seems like everything except for Pascal Siakam. He's too big for their guards, and he's going to be able to go by the Chet Holmgrens and the Isaiah Hartensteins of the world. Now, there's a guy who's gotten way too much flack, and he deserved it in that first half. It was brutal. But I haven't done this since the NFL season. Defense attorney Jonathan Smith has now entered the picture. Myles Turner last night getting drugged through the mud. Take Myles Turner out. Saw that tweet so many times. And I get it. It didn't go very well for Myles Turner in that first half. So, I got to put my defense attorney hat on because Myles Turner was so incredibly important for this Indiana Pacers team. So, Jonathan, he turned the basketball over 6 times. Yes, but who didn't turn the ball over for this Indiana Pacers team last night? He got stripped repeatedly every time he got into the lane. But I like how he played. I do. I like how he played. That's why I had to put on the defense attorney hat. Okay? Sure, he turned the ball over 6 times. He got stripped a whole bunch. The result wasn't always there, but the process and the way that he played, I think, is a very good sign for the Pacers in this series. If you'll say, Jonathan, he was terrible in the first half, I will completely and totally agree with you. Okay? He only scored 5 points on 1 of 4 shooting, turned the ball over 4 times. The first half was bad, but that second half, he banks in the step back 3 late. He provided very important spacing for this Indiana Pacers offense, and he made big shots. He was 5 of 10 from the field for the game. So after being 1 of 4 in the first half, he was 4 of 6 from the field in the second half. He was 2 of 5 from 3 on the night as well. He led the Pacers, along with Andrew Nembhard, in fourth quarter scoring with 8 points. 8 of his 15 came in the fourth quarter when the Pacers needed it the most. After turning the ball over 4 times in the first half, he only turned it over 2 times in the second half. He had 3 blocks in the game. There was a stretch. Go back and watch it if you have the time. You probably don't because you're a very busy person. I do. I went back and I watched it. There's this 2-minute stretch in the fourth quarter with between 4.5 minutes and 2.5 minutes left, where Myles Turner hits 2 threes and his rim protection, just his ability to contest without fouling, was huge. And it opened the door for Andrew Nembhard to hit the step-back three with 2 minutes left, and it allowed for them to ultimately wind up winning the game. So the rim protection and the shot making in the second half was much improved. Here's the biggest thing, though. The dude had 9 rebounds. When was the last time you looked at an Indiana Pacers box score and said, holy crap, Myles Turner rebounded? When was the last time that you did that? The dude had 9 rebounds, 5 of them on the offensive glass. And that is another part of this game that people are completely and totally missing. The Indiana Pacers out-rebounded the Oklahoma City Thunder 56-39. 56-39. Tyrese Haliburton had 10 rebounds. Pascal Siakam had 10 rebounds. Aaron Nesmith had 12 rebounds. Myles Turner had 9. When the Thunder went small and they put Chet Holmgren at the 5, I was so impressed with Myles Turner and his ability to go to the offensive glass and box out and grab big-time rebounds and generate 5 extra possessions for the Indiana Pacers, and his ability to close possessions on the defensive glass. I think part of that, though, was a conscious decision of Oklahoma City. I thought that they were very conservative in their attack of the offensive glass. It felt like when a shot went up for the Thunder, 4 guys got back to keep the Pacers from getting out and running. Didn't matter, though. Don't really care about that. He protected the rim, Myles Turner did. He was the best big man on the floor last night. Chet Holmgren, 6 points on 2 of 9 shooting. He only had 6 rebounds and 1 block. Myles Turner was better than Chet Holmgren was last night, and that is a large reason why the Indiana Pacers won. Look, if the Pacers are going to hold the combination of Jalen Williams and Chet Holmgren to 23 points on 8 of 28 shooting, they're going to have an excellent chance to win the series. And the reason why they did that, in part, was because of Myles Turner. I thought he was really going to struggle defending Chet Holmgren last night, and he did not. He did a very good job staying in front, using his size and his strength to kind of push him away from the rim. Isaiah Hartenstein was more problematic for Myles Turner than Chet Holmgren was. Isaiah Hartenstein off the bench was really good. The fact that he only played 17 minutes is criminal. He had 9 points and 9 rebounds. But he didn't protect the rim like Myles Turner did last night. That is why that's why I thought Myles Turner was the best big man on the floor. And it was really funny. It was like watching a Golden State Warriors final from, 10 years ago. Like the final 3 minutes, there's no center on the floor. Chet Holmgren's on the bench. Obi Toppin is like the biggest guy on the floor. And just so impressed by Myles Turner and the minutes that he played. He was really good on the glass. He protected the rim. I get it. The turnovers were bad, but he made the adjustment. He was much stronger with the basketball in that second half. And like the second half version of the Pacers can undoubtedly win this series. They can. And it's led by Tyrese Haliburton, Pascal Siakam, Andrew Nembhard, and Myles Turner. Incredible night from him. I was pleasantly surprised by his impact. And I can't wait to talk to Zack Gray about him coming up here in about 10 minutes. Can't wait to talk to Tony East of Locked On Pacers about him here in about 50 minutes. He's going to join the show at 11:40. He had a very late night last night, leaving the stadium because he's there in Oklahoma City. So we'll see how he does. But man, what a game. What a night. Myles Turner, his impact needs to be appreciated because he was a very large part of this Pacers team and their ability to rebound. Game 2 is on Sunday. It's on the road. No way the Pacers win that game, right? I wouldn't say no way. I'm not putting anything past this Indiana Pacers team anymore because they just find ways to win. And like they've done it really all season. And they're 11-point underdogs. That's what the line opened at, which makes sense. Thunder, they're going to play with a major sense of urgency. They'll go back. They'll tweak things. But so are the Pacers. And I think a lot of people are chalking up game 2. The Thunder will win. But this is a mistake people have made talking about the Pacers the entire playoffs. They go into Cleveland and they win game 1. I was like, Cleveland will win game 2. The Pacers will win game 3. Game 4, that's the one that matters. That's the one that's going to decide the series. All that good stuff. I don't think I really believe that. Because this Pacers team, they took the first 2 from New York. People said the same thing in the Eastern Conference Finals. Pacers took game 1. Knicks will take game 2. No, they didn't. They said it against Cleveland. They said it against the Knicks. And now everyone's doing it with the Thunder. The Pacers are greedy. I love it. They're so greedy. And they're going to go in there Sunday night having, 2 days to make adjustments. Rick Carlisle, you're giving that guy 2 days to make adjustments? I love the Pacers. They are going to cover that 11-point spread. I would wait. I think the line's going to go up. I think you might be able to get it like 12, maybe 12 and a half. Take the Pacers. Rick Carlisle with 2 full days to make real adjustments and to sit down and be like, all right, guys, like this is why we turned the ball over. This is what we did better in the second half. Here's why. I can't tell you why because I'm not as smart as Rick Carlisle, but I know what the result of whatever they tweaked at halftime was. They got to the rim more. They generated more open threes, and the defense was spectacular. So I am so intrigued to see what this game 2 looks like because people are doing it again, saying, Pacers won't win game 2. They won a crazy game 1. Great. Fantastic. They're going to have a great chance to take game 2. Tyrese Haliburton didn't play well. Siakam was good. The first half from Myles Turner was bad. The start of the game was they turned the ball over 25 times. I find it very hard to believe that the Indiana Pacers are going to do that again. And when both teams actually got to run their offense, the Pacers offense was significantly better than Oklahoma City. So much of the Oklahoma City Thunder offense in that game 1 was, here's the ball, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Do not pass it. Play one-on-one against Andrew Nembhard, one of the best perimeter defenders in the NBA. And then if he got stonewalled, it was, all right, Jalen Williams, you play one-on-one with Aaron Nesmith guarding you. Good luck. That was the majority of the Oklahoma City Thunder offense. There was very, very little ball movement. There was very little player movement. I will be intrigued to see if the Thunder go back to kind of their thing, which is playing 2 bigs, playing Hartenstein and Chet together. They didn't start them together, which was a very surprising thing. They inserted Cason Wallace instead. I'll be very intrigued to see if they continue with that in game 2. We're going to see both of these teams make adjustments because both of these teams have enough players with a large enough skill set to actually make adjustments. So I can't wait. Game 2 is on Sunday. Zack Gray is going to join me, though, here in about 4.5 minutes. And we're going to continue talking about that amazing Pacers game 1 win over the Oklahoma City Thunder.
do this. It's the Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket, 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
What's going on? Welcome back to the Real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy's Sports Ticket. Thank you for tuning in, no matter how you are tuning in, whether that's YouTube, Twitter, or the Indy Sports Ticket app, which you can download wherever you find your apps. This is a great weekend for me, not only because do we get Pacers Thunder Game 2 on Sunday, which is going to be awesome, but I get to talk to my guy, Zack Gray, right now, and then I get to see another former college teammate of mine, Taylor Langston, on Saturday. So Zack, I'm ready for this weekend, man. I'm juiced up and ready to go.
Yeah, man. Thank you for having me on. It's just a weird day. You know, I just can't believe what I saw. I don't know if my mind's playing tricks on me or what.
At this point, this is just like par for the course. Before we get into it, though, I know you have a bet that you want to give out. Let's knock that out real quick, and then we can talk about the game. Yeah.
By the way, I know you've been tracking Jonathan and playing some of these, but we've just been on an absolute heater for about a little over a month now. We're up over 20 units on the season after kind of middling around for the first month of the baseball season. We've been hot, on fire. But tonight, let's go down to Pittsburgh, Phillies, Pirates, and I'm going to take the Phillies minus 135 on the money line. Projection likes them a lot. And I just think any bet that I give you right now is going to hit. So, just let it ride. We're going to bet it. Zack Gray, follow him on Twitter at ZG The Grapevine. He's a professional sports gambler. If you click the link in his Twitter bio, it'll take you to his Patreon where he sells tools to help you make better bets. So trust me, you want that. You will make better bets if you subscribe to his Patreon. All right, Zack, people are really upsetting me, man, because the Pacers win last night. And, I'm listening to my podcasts and I'm watching my sports talk TV and stuff. And I think there's just like this assumption that, Thunder, they're going to win game 2. And then, the Pacers, they'll probably win game 3. And then game 4, that's the one that'll decide the series. I feel like we did this after game 1 against Cleveland. We did this after game 1 against New York. And the Pacers won both of those game 2s. And I get it. The Thunder are so much better than both of those teams. But, it is not out of the realm of possibilities for the Pacers to leave Oklahoma City up 2-0, right? It's not. I think it's going to be really hard for them to do that. I think the Pacers can only win this series if it goes at a minimum 6, but probably 7. I think what we saw from I think Bill Simmons said it on his recap show that the Thunder are 80-18. They were 80-18 heading into this game. This isn't just a normal run-of-the-mill NBA team. We're talking about historically great defense. We're talking about a historical, run here throughout the regular season and playoffs. I don't think it's out of the question that the Pacers can steal game 2, but I expect the Thunder to punch back pretty hard. And at this point, though, I went into the series saying, there's no shot the Pacers have a chance here. Thunder, pretty easy finals for them. I've changed my tune. You can't just keep watching what you're watching with this Pacers team and expect that, they're just going to give up or slip away. They're always going to have a puncher's chance. But yeah, I think this goes 6 or 7 still. I do think the Thunder probably take game 2. But yeah, my opinion of the series has changed dramatically. Mine has as well. I took the Thunder in 6 before the series started. And I'm with you. The Thunder will probably win game 2. I just feel like everyone should have learned by now that you don't just write off the Pacers at this point, especially before a game has even started. What was the most impressive thing to you last night about the Pacers? The fact that Rick Carlisle stuck with his guys, his bench guys like he did. I know we talked about it. Obi was awful. They brought in the worst player in the series, Thomas Bryant. And now, he was good though. He was good. He had that little cameo where he dunked on Hartenstein and then he hit a corner 3. Yeah, you're right though. He is the worst player in the series. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry. Yeah. Well, I love how no one talks about the fact that when he was in there, Hartenstein took him off the dribble twice. Yeah. Yeah. To the cup, got like 2 or 3 offensive rebounds on him in like 3 minutes of play. Like, he's awful. But back to my main point, like, he stuck with Obi. He stuck with Neesmith and Nembhard and didn't really – he knew that they were going to have to play well to win the game, and he stuck with them. You know, other coaches take Obi out there and don't give him a chance to flourish like he did with the three-pointers and all that stuff. So I think Rick Carlisle was the big difference. And he just kind of let the Pacers play like the Pacers and let them fight to the very end. He didn't make any changes that would limit them offensively or defensively. He just stuck with his guys. And I think that takes a lot of guts in a national stage like this to see what's happening. 19 first half turnovers and still just sticking with your guys. I think that was the most impressive thing for me.
Joined by Zack Gray, professional sports gambler. Check him out on X at ZG the Grapevine. Check out the link in his bio. It'll take you to his Patreon where he sells tools to help you make better bets. He says to take the Phillies minus 135 tonight on the money line. I'm going to do that as soon as we get done with this segment. So I found something else more impressive, but I do want to write out this Carlisle point because I think you're right. I thought he was going to be the biggest X factor in this series just because, like, Mark Dagnall is an excellent coach. But Carlisle's been around a long time. He's won a finals before against a team that everyone kind of viewed as better because the top-end talent was better than what he had on that Mavs team. And I thought that the most impressive thing was the defense. Like,
yep.
the help and the stunting at Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, like, I think they're fine with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander taking 20 mid-range jumpers. He only took 8 foul shots. I was most impressed with the defense, and part of that is the scheme. But the other part of it was Andrew Nembhard defensively last night was incredible.
He looked so confident on both ends of the floor. I know that they played with each other coming up in Canada. Like, I do think there's some credence to that Nembhard looks at Shai like how you would look at like a buddy or just another guy that you've known for a while. Like the aura of Shai doesn't really get in his head because he's been around him so long, watched him grow up, played together, been teammates. Like, I think that matters a lot. Like, I don't think Nembhard's going to be scared of the moment against Shai.
I completely agree. And I think another part of that is all these guys are very competitive, but there's nothing like playing against your buddy. There's nothing like it. Like, I think part of why Pacers Knicks is so much fun is because everyone knows that Jalen Brunson and Tyrese Haliburton are like good friends. And so, like, there's just something a little extra. And I think that it just adds to your point of like, there is some credence there with their history. And the biggest thing for me is because Nembhard can defend Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, you get the demon that is Aaron Neesmith just harassing Jalen Williams to a point where he was 6 of 19 for only 17 points. And that to me was the biggest thing in the series. Every game that the Thunder have lost, it's happened because Jalen Williams hasn't been good. He wasn't very, very good last night. What'd you think of just Aaron Neesmith? I know he didn't make a ton of shots, but I thought defensively he was really good as well.
Yeah, man, he is such an X factor for them defensively. And you don't think of the Pacers as a traditional defensive team, but you're right, man. That's looking back, that's the only reason why they were in this game. I think, things went well for them matchup wise. I did not expect the matchups to favor the Pacers like they did in certain instances last night. Just another instance of this team shocking me, even though I'm pulling like heck for them. I'm rooting for them. I want them to win. They still just find ways to surprise me, and they're so malleable, man. They find different ways to win. They find different ways to attack both offensively and defensively. And then they have guys like Neesmith that are versatile as heck too. Like you're going to know he's around on defense. He's going to be in your grill. And then on offense, even last night in the fourth quarter, he made a couple big shots. He's just, he's ascending still. We aren't seeing the full package of Neesmith in his career. And it's just fun to watch him on both ends. And like, I feel like you could say this same exact statement for like 6 guys on the Pacers right now, which is why they're in the NBA Finals and why they're up 1-0 in the NBA Finals.
That's exactly right. Joined by Zack Gray, a professional sports gambler. Check him out on X at ZG the Grapevine. Check out the link in his bio. It'll take you to his Patreon where he sells tools to help you make better bets. So I'm glad you brought up Aaron Neesmith and his shooting in the fourth quarter, because that to me was the most impressive thing from the Pacers. The shot making, like the tough shot making. Usually what happens with the Thunder is they're up by like 8, and then you blink and they go on like this 12-0 run, and then all of a sudden like they're up 20, and you're not getting back into the game if you're down by 20 against the Thunder. And every time it felt like they were about to go on that run, like Obi Toppin hit 2 like contested threes with the shot clock winding down in the first quarter just to kind of keep them within reach. Aaron Nesmith hits, a tough, corner 3 late in the shot clock. Myles Turner hits a step back, fade away, banking in off the glass for 3. The shot making from the Pacers to me was wild. Like even the shot that Haliburton hit to win it, like that is like a 22-foot pull-up jumper moving full speed to your right. Like the shot making to me was the most impressive thing from the Pacers last night.
Yeah, and that's something that I couldn't help but this morning on my way to work to kind of think about it, just to think about the evolution of this roster, of this core of Carlisle, and like think about like 2 or 3 years ago how we would talk about the Pacers. Oh, they're fun, they get up and down, they score a lot of points. And now you're kind of finally seeing the fully polished version of this team, and they still have that incredible shot-making ability. But now it feels like they're doing all of that crazy shot-making within the confines of a very efficient, well-oiled machine. And that's scary, and you've kind of seen that evolution for the last 3-4 years. And it's really, really cool to kind of conceptualize that and for that to kind of hit you. I think you and me are in it a little differently because, we're around the market. We follow them. I don't think the national guys have really gotten that point yet. Like, looking back, you did not think it would be this, and to see how it is now, it's incredible.
Pascal Siakam showing up, I think, completely changed everything. He's the no fun guy. Like anytime they do anything, from my understanding, he's the guy who's like, guys, like no one really cares. Like we haven't really done anything quite yet. And he was really good last night as well. Like he's just write him down for 20 and 10. And, he was 19 and 10 last night. Like everyone's talking about the Andrew Nembhard step back 3 over Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, which just another example of the crazy shot making.
That was fire. I
mean, he was dancing. And when he hit it, I just immediately thought about, do you remember the step back jumper he hit over Jalen Brunson last year in the playoffs?
Oh, yeah.
That's what it reminded me of. I was like, that is just insane. And just like you said, man, like playing against your old buddy, like it just brings something extra out in you. And Siakam, though, he had the offensive rebound and the putback to bring it to within 1. I think he's going to be really important in this series. What'd you make of his game 1?
Yeah, he's just their steady hand, man. Like he makes all the dirty plays that you need. Air ball 3, he's right there for the putback, like you were talking about. Like blocking Shai on a drive, big possession late in the fourth quarter. Like it seems like he did get fouled by Cason Wallace, by the way, too. That would have been another notch.
Yeah.
But like it just feels like that's the guy with the championship DNA. That's the guy that's been there before, and he's the glue to all this. Like he knows where to be. He's in the right spots constantly. Whether you need him to defend or score or shoot or initiate offense from the high post, like he can do it all, and he just fits all these different roles for them for whatever is needed in a game. And that opens up all those other guys to do their thing when we might not be rebounding very well, but Pascal's getting in there now, and he's going to be our lead rebounder, or he's making plays off the dribble and dishing out to our shooters. Like that kind of player is something that I don't know if the Thunder have. And that doesn't mean that I think that Pascal is better than Shai or Jalen or, even Chet. But I don't think they have a guy where if things are going wrong, you can just plug him into the thing that needs fixed and he can fix it. That makes sense?
It does. I'm totally with you. Once again, joined by Zack Gray, professional sports gambler. Take the Phillies tonight, -135 on the money line. You follow Zach on Twitter as well, @ZG the Grapevine. Check out the link in his bio to take you to his Patreon where he sells tools to help you make better bets. Totally agree. I think, like you said, just your ability to plug him in multiple spots, like that's problematic for the Thunder. Like look, Haliburton's not going to be as good in this series as he was against the Knicks because the Thunder have all these really tough guards. Myles Turner struggled a little bit. But, like, Pascal Siakam, like, he's a legitimately tough matchup for the Thunder. Like, they got him switched onto Cason Wallace early, and he posted up. Alex Caruso, like, bothered him, but not enough to, like, completely take him out of the game. He was really good on the glass. I think he's really the only guy in this series for the Pacers who is, like, a legitimate matchup problem for Oklahoma City. And that's rare. Like, to say that there's a guy like that against this Thunder defense, that's where I think his impact is going to be the biggest. And I think we saw it early in that first quarter when they kept going to him. And I'm really excited for his series. What'd you make of Myles Turner?
Yeah, Myles Turner. Up
and down.
He made a pretty cool shot. He's important. He's important. I think you can't expect too much out of him. He's going to make some wild plays every now and then, whether that's shooting or under the rim, maybe finishing for an and one. He's important to the team. I just think that, I think his limitations have really kind of come to light in the later rounds of the playoffs.
I thought he was really good in that second half, not just because of that shot. I think a large part of why the Pacers won that game is because I thought Myles Turner was better than Chet Holmgren.
Maybe. I don't know if I necessarily seen it like that. I mean, Chet only played 20-something minutes. Like, that's not really – I think that's bad coaching by Dagno out there with that. I think there's some things the Thunder should have done that they didn't do, or things that they've done all season that they didn't try to do in this game. But, like, yeah, I mean, my opinion on Myles Turner is, like, yeah, he'll make some plays for you, but he's very limited, and I don't know whether or not he's a needle mover in this series one way or the other. I think you kind of understand what he'll give you, what he won't give you, and yeah, I don't see him as much of a factor.
I think you're right to the extent of we didn't get a good Chet Holmgren game. I think he's really important just because he's the only real rim protector the Pacers have. And something I was worried about in the series was, can they have Myles Turner on the floor when the Thunder go one big and it's Chet Holmgren? Like, will he be able to, like, move his feet on the perimeter? Like, how's he going to look? I thought he looked fine. I thought he was really big in that fourth quarter, just being at the rim and making things tough on the Thunder. And obviously, I mean, he had eight points in the fourth as well. But I think his defense and his rim protection is going to be really important because you and I both know Thomas Bryant's not going to protect the rim if he's playing center, Yeah,
and to push back on it a little more, like I don't know how big Myles Turner's rim protection is going to be, because I feel like the Thunder are really good at getting in that little pocket right before you get to the rim, kind of that 10-foot range. I feel like that's where they really execute well. I don't know how many times I remember them really going at and attacking consistently at the rim. I could be wrong, but it just seems like the Thunder do a good job of kind of not having to worry about a rim protector like that.
I think the other thing that he did really well, last thing on Turner, and I do think you're right, like that little, let's call it like the float game area where Hartenstein likes his little push shot, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander likes his pull up. Like, I think you're right in that regard. He had Myles Turner 5 offensive rebounds, and that's the other thing. Like, if he's
I didn't realize that.
Like, if he's gonna be the center for the Pacers when the Thunder are going with Chet Holmgren, like, if he can be that impactful on the glass, I do think that that's something that can kind of tilt things the Pacers' way. Like, they out rebounded the Thunder 56-39, and I think Myles Turner was a pretty large part of that.
Yeah, I'll have to go back and look at it again, but it sounds like he was a little more impactful than I was watching. Admittedly, there's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on. Yeah.
But it sounds like he was more impactful than I thought. So I'll definitely have to take a look out for that, especially on Sunday.
Last guy, how much time do you have? I usually ask you that before.
About 5-10 minutes.
Okay, real quick. Haliburton, rough first half. I thought the second half, though, I thought he looked a lot better. I thought his shot, like the big thing for me whenever I watch Haliburton, I want to see the shot chart. And in the first half, he took 4 shots. 3 of them were threes. One of them felt really forced. Second half, he took 9 shots. 4 of them were threes. The other 5 were 4 of them were in the lane. And then you had the pull-up midi later. What'd you make of Tyrese Haliburton, and what do you think was different from the first half compared to the second?
That's I hear that. I've heard that question a lot. I don't understand. Is it because he's not looking to get to the spots that he got to in the second half? Is it something defensively that he figures out? I don't understand, because it seems like when he gets going, he can get anywhere at any time. And whether that's on the ball or off the ball, he gets to a spot that he wants to score from. So these pockets of inactivity offensively are weird to me. I don't quite understand it. You could say he's just feeling out the game, feeling how they're being played, and then attacking later. But, in a situation like that, he needed to be productive from the onset. I don't understand that. I don't know whether that's the difference between a superstar and a non-superstar, or the ability to kind of turn that on whenever you need to. But it just seems weird to me why he wouldn't want to be in attack mode like that for the entire game.
I thought, and this is, watching it once, I should probably go back and rewatch. I thought that the Pacers offense was clunkier in the first half. It felt like guys were kind of getting in each other's way a little bit. I thought they were a little better spaced in the second half. I think that could have something to do with it. I'm sure Rick Carlisle did something that I'm not smart enough to realize.
Yeah.
I'm sure that happened at least once. And I just thought that I wonder if his catch point was different. Because I feel like in the first half, a lot of him getting the ball back was on a dribble handoff of some sort. I wonder if he caught the ball differently in the second half. That could be it, maybe. I don't know.
Nembhard was pretty much the primary ball handler late in that game.
He was.
That could be a real thing, that playing Haliburton off the ball a little more, getting him to a spot on a dribble handoff, or setting up a mismatch for him some other way besides him bringing the ball up the court. That could be a real thing. That could actually be exactly what you're asking.
Yeah, it could be. I think that he's really good off the ball. His time in Sacramento, I'm sure he didn't enjoy it because he had to play off the ball, but I think that's actually a really important development thing for him, playing off of De'Aaron Fox. But he was just, the second half was so much better. I don't know why. Well, I know the result of why, because he was able to get to the rim a little bit more. But how that happened, I'm not really sure. Any final thoughts on Pacers and Thunder, just about the series, about game 1, about game 2, whatever you want?
Yeah, I just saw a tweet last night that I thought was funny, that I saw someone tweet, I forget who it was. They said, it was something like, am I allowed to be happy about this game since the Pacers are a small market, or something like that? It was something along the lines of, can I be happy even though the Pacers are a small market? And it's just I do think that's a dumb storyline. That game last night was awesome. And I don't care if it was New York versus LA or Indiana versus Oklahoma City. That was incredible basketball. And why does it matter what market they're in? The stadium the arena was filled up. They were loud. Gainbridge is going to be filled up and loud. None of that matters. So all that discourse is stupid. And you saw 2 of the best teams in basketball playing last night, and they showed out, and all of that other stuff does not matter.
I thought that what Adam Silver said, he was on Breakfast Ball yesterday morning, and he made a comment that is so true. He was like, if the Steelers and the Packers played in the Super Bowl, football fans would rejoice, even though those are two of the smallest markets in the NFL. And he talked about the history of those teams, and how he wants the NBA to kind of be the same way. And you keep having moments like this for Haliburton and games like this, you're going to develop that pretty quickly. But I'm with you. The whole market thing is dumb. It is.
Yeah. Just enjoy basketball. Enjoy both of these teams. They're young. There's, we're always talking about the next wave of stars. We're looking at them. So let's appreciate them and not try to make this anything that it's not.
Totally agree. Zach, thanks for your time as always, man.
Jake Smith, appreciate you, buddy.
Zack Gray, check him out on Twitter at ZG The Grapevine. Does an excellent job giving out plays for the sports gambling world. Take the Phillies tonight, -135. When we come back here in about 3 minutes, more thoughts on Pacers Thunder, Game 1.
If it's in today's sports world, it's here. The real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Welcome back to the real Jonathan Smith Show. Big thanks to Zack Gray for joining the show in that last segment. Pacers beating the Thunder last night, 111-110, and another crazy Indiana Pacers comeback. And it doesn't happen without those first 39 minutes, which were incredibly ugly. No other way to really describe those minutes. But throughout those 39 minutes, we saw the reason why the Indiana Pacers were able to win that game. Okay, the Pacers turned the basketball over 19 times in the first half. For reference, they averaged about 11 turnovers per game in the playoffs before this one. Tyrese Haliburton was asked after the game, what's up with the rough start? Was it jitters? Were you nervous? And here's what Tyrese Haliburton had to say.
I mean, I got to go back and watch the film, but I felt like I was jittery.
You don't have to watch the film
you
to
gotta
tell
watch
me
the
how
film.
it felt. How did you feel inside?
I felt jittery in the first half.
It looked
honestly.
that way.
Yeah, I felt jittery. I was playing too fast. I was out of control. I mean, we had, like 20 turnovers in like the first half.
That's the most you've had in 25 years.
Yeah, and just very uncharacteristic of us. You know,
how much of that's them?
A lot. They're a historic defense. They're a great defense, but I just think we caught ourselves driving with no plan. You know, against this team, if you drive with no plan, it can get ugly. It can get ugly quick.
You can get lost.
Yeah, exactly. So we just got to do a better job of driving with a plan, and playing with some more controlled chaos. We love chaos, but they love chaos too. But we need it to be more controlled. And we'll watch the film, see where we can get better. I thought we were a lot better in the second half. I think in the third quarter, we have 3 turnovers for like 3 fast break points, 3 points off turnover, something like that. And that's winning basketball. So, there's a lot for us to improve on with this game. We'll go back and watch the film and see where we can get better.
Tyrese Haliburton right there talking about that ugly first half. Sure, we can talk those 19 first half turnovers up to jitters, I guess. But I think what he said about the driving without a plan is a little bit more accurate. I think it's spot on. Like the number of times the Pacers would get into the lane and jump pass with no one to throw the ball to was concerning. That's why Obi Toppin turned the ball over 3 times in his first 3.5 minutes on the floor. Like the number of times Aaron Nesmith got into the lane and then got tied up because he didn't know what to do next was bad. Like all 5 of his turnovers were a result of that. The Pacers as a whole felt like they got stripped on their way to the bucket repeatedly in that first half. And that is what defined the first 24 minutes. 19 turnovers from the Pacers, 12 of them live ball turnovers. Okay, the Pacers can survive a shot clock violation or a backcourt violation. They can set their defense off those, but the Thunder tend to kill teams in transition. And the Pacers defense did not allow them to do that. That is why they won the basketball game. The Pacers turned the ball over 25 times. The Thunder only scored 11 points off of those turnovers. The Thunder only scored 11 fast break points the whole game. That is why the Pacers were able to stay in the game. They held the Thunder to under 40% shooting from the field on the night. The Thunder only shot 37% from the field in the first half. So when you shoot that poorly, or when the Pacers defend that well, it doesn't matter that the Thunder took 16 more shots than the Pacers did on the night. The reason why the Pacers had a chance to win that game was because of the defense. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, yeah, I know. He had it going. 38 points, 14 to 30 shooting. That's fine. Lou Dort was 5 of 9 from 3. No one else from the Thunder consistently made shots, even for Lou Dort. Like all 5 of his threes felt like they came at the same time. They weren't spread out. He wasn't hitting big shots late. And then in the second half, when the Pacers finally settled in and the jitters went away and they stopped turning the ball over, by the way, they only turned the ball over 6 times in the second half, 19 in the first half. The Pacers were outscored by 12 in the first half with those 19 turnovers. They won the second half by 13 points with only 6 turnovers. Okay? Like, that speaks to how far this Pacers team has come. They wouldn't have stood a chance to win that game last year because everything was about the offense. That has shifted. That has changed. Their defense has improved by leaps and bounds compared to last year, and that's why they won that game. Part of that is personnel. Andrew Nembhard working his butt off defending Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Aaron Nesmith working his butt off defending Jalen Williams. Myles Turner having 3 blocks right there at the rim. Like that stuff is important. Their defense allowed them to win that game despite taking 16 less shots, despite turning the basketball over 25 times. Their defense made everything tough on Oklahoma City's offense. And Oklahoma City is a good offensive team. I wouldn't call them a great one. And their offense, so much of last night, Oklahoma City's, was here you go, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, go one-on-one against Andrew Nembhard. Oh, Andrew Nembhard stayed in front of you. Again. Here you go, Jalen Williams. You play one-on-one against Aaron Nesmith. Oh, let's take a tough fadeaway jumper. Oh, we missed. Oh, there's Myles Turner, Pascal Siakam, Tyrese Haliburton, or Aaron Nesmith with a rebound, as the Pacers did a great job out-rebounding the Thunder by 17 last night. Impressive game from them. Impressive, tough, gritty win, and hopefully we see it again in Game 2. Pacers have a real chance to win that one as well, as they did not play very well in that Indiana Pacers game, or in that game tonight. So last night. Jeez, Jonathan. Very impressive win from them. Can't wait to see what they do this upcoming game on Sunday. It's going to be fantastic. When we come back here in about 4 minutes or so, the one and only Tony East of Locked On Pacers, he is set to join the show, and we will continue talking about the Pacers win in Game 1 over the Oklahoma City Thunder.
It may, one day, be a must-listen for sports enthusiasts.
Yeah, and monkeys might fly out of my butt.
Uh-oh. The Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Welcome back to the Real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy's Sports Ticket. Thank you for tuning in, no matter how you're tuning in, whether that's YouTube, Indy Sports Ticket. If you want to head over there and subscribe, maybe you're watching on Twitter, _ Jonathan Smith. If you want to follow me there, you can follow our next guest at Tony R. East, who does a great job covering the Indiana Pacers. He's joining me from Oklahoma City, where he had a pretty late night last night trying to recap the craziness that was Game 1 between the Thunder and the Pacers. Tony, what's going on, man? How are you?
I'm good. You're right. I'm tired, but totally worth it to see these many insane games in person. It's just ridiculous that the Pacers keep doing this.
What's it like covering the NBA Finals?
Oh, it's crazy. There's so much, like, the thing that makes it feel like the finals is the amount of media here, right? Like, I think there was a lot of good complaints about the fact that the court didn't feel like the finals. The broadcast was not, it didn't really meet the moment there. But for someone in my shoes, there's so much going on, and it's in Oklahoma City somehow, like it's a Western Conference team. It in my shoes, it feels like the finals. And the Pacers, I don't think really were too scared of the moment. I think they had some jitters early, but they fought right through it.
They did. And I kind of like the jitters because I think it allowed us to see just how far this team's come from last year. Like they don't win this game last year. There's not a chance.
No chance.
The defense wasn't good enough. And last night, the story of the night for me was Andrew Nembhard and Aaron Nesmith and the outstanding defense that they played on Jalen Williams and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. What was kind of your takeaway from just kind of the game as a whole?
Yeah, those two are huge. I think I agree with you there that, I think in the end, Shai and J-Dub combined for half of the shot attempts for the Thunder in the whole game. Like, those two are really trying to get going, and the Pacers did a good job of, one, taking away everybody else, but two, making it so those guys never had a ton of space. Like, I think Shai had 38 on 30 shots, and J-Dub was close to an even shots to points ratio, and that's what the Pacers hope happens. Those two were a huge part of it, and I think you saw the Pacers kind of develop this game plan in the Cavs series where Donovan Mitchell, go crazy, do your thing. No one else is going to really get rolling and get going. And they won that series very handily. It's not easy to do that with Shai on the other side. He can just have a monster game at any time. But that was really impressive. And the other part of this that I think the Pacers will be happy with, right? They're balanced. They a bunch of guys in double figures, but nobody reaching 20 points. Like, that's kind of how they hope to play, is that they just find the crevices with whoever at any time. They were able to do that. Siakam leading with 19 is very Pacers-y, and lo and behold, they win the game. So a lot for them to like in terms of their best defenders being their best defenders and then playing the way they want, even though they were trailing for literally the entire game.
Tony East, Locked On Pacers, joining the show. Make sure you go check out his podcast. You can read all this stuff over at Forbes.com as well. Fun fact, Pacers, first team in the history of the NBA to win a finals game with no players scoring 20 points or more.
Wow.
Just felt like a Pacers game. Like,
right, I agree.
Even though, but like not really, because it wasn't very up and down, at least not the way that it was against the Knicks in Cleveland. Like, I thought that the Thunder did a good job of not allowing the Pacers to run as much as they wanted. Like, I think part of why the Pacers dominated the glass the way that they did, out rebounding the Thunder by 17, is because like a shot would go up for OKC and four guys would run back, and like Lou Dort or someone would go crashing in, and that was really it. What were you most surprised by in that game? Was it the lack of running? Was it, Isaiah Hartenstein not even starting? What was kind of the thing that surprised you the most?
I actually predicted that Hartenstein might not start, so I feel pretty good about that. Not surprising me. I thought it'd be Caruso, not Cason Wallace, but I'll take some credit for that one. Yeah, I think you're onto something with the whole like getting back thing, because both these teams want to dominate the transition game on both ends, right? Like the Thunder are the only team that have a faster pace number than the Pacers in these playoffs, and a lot of that's because they have a lot of possessions that are really short because they just get a steal and score immediately. But still, like they play really fast, and so do the Pacers, and they both play similarly in that their rebound rates are mediocre to bad because they don't crash that hard. They want to get back. They want to make sure that they're not giving up something easy in the open floor. And so for a Pacers team that their identity is that they can fly in those moments, they couldn't, right? They couldn't in this game. And Lou Dort was getting all those rebounds that you described, which was, I'm sure if you're the Pacers, very frustrating thing to have happen, that one guy crashing kept getting them over and over. It had to make them so mad. But I was surprised at how much it wasn't slow, or it wasn't a slow game, but it certainly did not, like you're saying, feel like any of those Knicks or Cavs games, or it was up and down, rapid fire, shot, early in the clock, And the Pacers did find a way, I think, to settle in as the game went on. The score margin favored them more and more from every quarter as the game went on. Obviously, in their fourth quarter was brilliant, but it's really hard to play fast against that Thunder defense. And that's going to be, I think, a tough surprise for them to handle the whole series, even though obviously they'll be thrilled to do it up 1-0.
Yeah, they definitely will. And Tony, I think people are doing this thing again that they've done to the Pacers in the last two series. The Pacers win game one against Cleveland, and then there's like this broad assumption that like, Cleveland will win game two, Pacers will win game three, and then we'll see what happens in game four. And then I feel like it was the same thing against the Knicks. They have the crazy comeback in game one. people are like, yeah, Knicks will win game 2, no big deal. And then that didn't happen either time. I actually feel really good about the Pacers going into game 2 because there's just so much that they could be better at. How do you kind of feel about the Pacers going into that game 2 on Sunday?
I certainly agree there's a lot they can be better at. I mean, anecdotally, beyond just this series and this game, like they've won every game 1 and game 2 this whole playoffs, right? Like they're very good at starting these series strong and taking a good lead to open it. And I felt the same way about the Knicks after game 1 of that series. Like, how do you come back from that? You know, like how do you mentally as a team come back from blowing a lead like that? And the Knicks one was obviously way more dramatic. You know, I'll give the Thunder a little credit in that there was never any moment in this game where it felt like an absurd comeback. Like it was just kind of a slow drip from the 15-point lead to the end. But you play a game where you're winning for 47.95 out of 48 minutes. Like you've got to feel like you had it. And so there's a part of me that wonders beyond the just normal, like, well, we got to make adjustments, like the mental toll that it takes to end up losing that game in the end and how the Thunder respond. So beyond anything, this is how the Pacers have started series all playoffs, and they'll have a chance to do it again. But they certainly have to make some changes to the way that they're playing. Right, they couldn't get the shots that they liked as early. The turnovers, Jonathan. Holy cow! Oh my, it was painful, and half of them were just like not even the Thunder forcing them. I think they had 12 that were not a Thunder steal. Like it was just an offensive foul, throw out of bounds, something like that. It was painful. I mean, that if they had lost, like if Haliburton misses that shot at the end, that's all we're talking about today.
Yeah.
Is like, how did they have this many turnovers? It certainly would have cost them the game. I mean, it was brutal. There's some elements playing the Thunder that you're going to have some, right? Every team that plays the Thunder has a bunch of turnovers and can't figure out how to control it. I get that. Like, I bet the Pacers end up with like 15 a game in this series, but to have 18 at halftime and to never be able to figure out what's going on there, they've got to be a little better in that way. I talked to Obi Toppin before the series, and someone asked him, Obi, what makes the Thunder defense so tough? And he said, they're just annoying. And I thought that was the perfect description. And you saw that last night. So they've got to make the Thunder defense less annoying.
Yeah, I don't know how you do that because that's a really good defensive team. Joined by Tony East of Locked On Pacers, talking about the Pacers game 1 win. And they figured it out, though. Like, they only turned the ball over 6 times in that second half, and that's a large part of why they won that half. And I want to talk about Haliburton, because if I don't now, I'm going to forget about it, and I'm going to be like, geez, I just spent 15 minutes and talk about Tyrese Haliburton. I have a theory on why he was better in the second half than the first, but you were there, and you're better at picking up on those details than I am. What did you think the difference was? Like, I know he got into the lane more, but why do you think he was able to do that more?
Well, it's just kind of interesting the way that I think his series is going to go. I actually think he'll have kind of a lot of games. Not a lot. It's only a 7-game series. But I think he'll have another game, at least one, maybe 2, that look exactly like this, because, I mean, the Pacers' late game play, when they were really mounting that comeback, like, they were not initiating with him at all, because he's being not taken out of the game, but it doesn't make sense to go through him when Dort and Caruso and J-Dub are on his side of the court. And so they're like, oh, who's Shea guarding? That guy should initiate this play, right? And that was almost always Andrew Nembhard, but it was not every time. And so I think, like, you're going to see a lot of halves or quarters or whatever where he feels kind of quiet, Tyrese Haliburton, because of that, where they're intentionally not having him be the lead guy, but obviously they're at their best when he is. And so I think part of the numbers of it was that, like, figuring out where this should go, who should do what and when. But yeah, I agree with you. Like, he couldn't get in the paint. The Thunder defense is extremely good at paint and rim protection, right? That's something the Pacers have to be better at in the next game. And that's so much easier said than done. Every single team in the league struggles to get into the teeth of that Thunder defense, and the Pacers made enough threes to make up for it. But, you know, for a guy like Haliburton, who already kind of has to work through specific reads and circumstances to figure out how to get to the paint a lot of times and adjust from game to game, if it's really tough in game 1, he's not going to have a good night doing it. So I think he'll be better at it, but the Thunder could adjust too, right? So I think there will be games where this happens and they need other guys to step up.
I agree. Like, it's a tough Haliburton series because of who the Thunder have defensively.
Yeah.
I need to go back and watch, but my theory is I felt like his catch point was different in the second half compared to the first. Like, in the first half, I feel like every time he got the ball, it was like a dribble handoff with Nembhard, and the Thunder could very easily switch, or they could like hedge up to kind of slow his momentum. I thought he caught the ball on the move a little bit more.
Bingo.
In that second half, and that kind of helped him to get into the lane. He took
and
Yeah, you go. Go ahead.
That's what the Knicks took away from him too in that game 5. Like when Bridges was all over him, he would catch it and he'd be stopped, right? And so that doesn't really create an advantage. The defense just immediately sets up and turns and looks at you, and you're not really flowing. Like I totally agree with that, and I think that's something they've got to figure out how to do. And the Thunder, like the second you stop, they steal it or they do something. Like you've got to be moving, and I totally agree with you.
So you didn't get to watch the broadcast because you were there.
No.
Once again, joined by Tony East of Locked On Pacers. You can also read his writing over at Forbes.com. Follow him on Twitter at Tony R. East. But I'm just curious, did you know that Andrew Nembhard is from Canada and that Andrew Nembhard and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander played together this summer and that they played against each other when they were both 9 years old? Did you know that, Tony?
I did feel a little bad. So they have media day before the finals, right? And like, there's a lot of Canadian media here. How many Canadian guys are in this series? So I heard a million. Even though I didn't watch the broadcast, I heard a million of those questions before. I'm surprised they didn't talk about like Ben Mathurin and Lou Dort were like best friends. Like that seems more interesting than they were like really good friends.
Nembhard and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander played against each other when they were both like 9 years old, and so I had my buddy Zack Gray on at 11, and I think part of what made Knicks Pacers so much fun is look like all these guys are very competitive, but like when you're playing against your friend, like there's just something extra. And I think that's part of why like seeing Haliburton and Brunson go at it is so much fun. And I think it's part of why they just don't seem to miss when they play against one another. And I do think that there's like something a little extra there for Nembhard having to defend a guy who he's probably pretty decent friends with.
Yeah, I agree. And I saw a tweet. I don't know if I necessarily agree with this, but it's like the shot he made late when he went between the legs a billion times. Like
insane.
It basically said like you don't take that shot unless you're playing against your homies, right? Like,
Well, he took it, and I just had these flashbacks to the same shot that he hit over Brunson 5 feet further last year.
Yeah, totally. But yeah, he played him as well as you can, right? Like they were very okay with just like him being the matchup on him in the last couple minutes and not sending a ton of help. And obviously that shot's like he's had better shots in his career, closer to the buzzer, but that's in the finals and complete nails on a very, very challenging jumper. What a game. He was very good. He
was. I thought he was the only guy who looked comfortable and aggressive all game.
I agree with that. Nesmith kind of did. His was a little.
He was like out of control. He was like overly aggressive.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that.
Last thing, and I will let you go. Pascal Siakam, just another quiet 19 and 10. Sneakily, the second biggest bucket of the game, the offensive rebound and the putback to pull it to within one. I think he's the Pacers' most important player in this series because I think he's the only guy who's a consistent mismatch for the Thunder and the personnel that they have. And I don't know if he was really good, but he was definitely good enough in that game one. What'd you make of his performance?
Yeah, the Thunder don't really have that size guy, if that makes sense. Like their 3s and 4s are J-Dub, Caruso, whoever you want to say. They don't play like a big wing. They play Chet and Hartenstein. And so that's why you've seen guys like Aaron Gordon have success against them, like Julius Randle's going on heaters to start games last round. And those Pacers have 2 in Toppin and Siakam. I think they're going to have big series. But Pascal specifically, because he's so good at all playoffs, he's been punishing Smalls the whole time. Like he could be in line for a big series because of that. Like the Pacers' most consistent offense early was every time Cason Wallace got on Siakam, boom, get him the ball in the post, let him try to score. He's just this steadying hand that does a lot of stuff nobody else on the Pacers can do. He's been here before. He can make plays like that. He had 2 huge offensive rebounds leading to putbacks in the second half of that game. He had the one where it was like 0.3 on the shot clock, and he jumped up and flipped it in. That was huge, too. It's just he's going to be huge in this series. They're going to need him to play maybe a little bit more minutes than he usually does. Toppin was awesome, too, though. Like, you saw Aaron Gordon rip up those guys. Like, those 2 are going to be massive in this series.
Those first 3.5 minutes from Toppin, not good. After that,
no, golly.
Very, very good. Tony, thanks for your time, man. You sound exhausted. Go take a nap. Lucky you, we don't have another game until Sunday. So thanks, man.
Yep, you got it.
Tony East, Locked On Pacers. Go and check him out. Does a great job covering the team. That's going to do it here at The Real Jonathan Smith Show. Subscribe to Indie Sports Ticket on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter at Ticket1430. Follow me as well, __ Jonathan Smith. This is the best show in the city to get your Pacers information. I promise you. That is a legitimate promise. Come back Monday. I will have thoughts on game 2. Take the Pacers to cover because I think that game's going to be every bit as good as this one. That Thunder line might get up to 12.5. Seriously, go bet the Pacers because they are going to cover whatever that spread is. Thank you again for checking out my show. I will talk to you again when we come back on Monday. See ya.